Welcome back to Don't Repeat What Mommy Says. We sell mugs. Did you know we sell mugs?
Shameless plug.
Total shameless plug. I feel like we don't talk about like the merch we sell enough. Yeah, we sell mugs. Buy them.
We sell all kinds of merch.
We do. We really do. Um, so
We do, we
today
really do.
we do. We got shirts, we got mugs, we got water bottles, we got totes,
Sweatshirts, totes, stickers,
bookmarks, stickers.
bookmarks.
I don't know if I put the bookmarks on the website yet. I suck. If you want a bookmark, the
We
Motherhoods of
have them.
Bloodsport, we have them. I don't know if they're on my website, so if I suck and it's not up there, send us a message if you want to buy a bookmark, because I'll just sell it to you. It's fine. I just suck, and I never.
Yeah, but we have Don't Repeat What Mommy Says merch, and we also have Motherhoods of Bloodsport merch.
Yes, we have both.
Both,
So,
yeah. So, whatever.
but
All right, so there's that.
yes, God, I'm
Listen to
crooked.
your body. That's what we're doing.
Yeah, we're talking about listening to your body. So, what should we maybe start with, like what we're talking about with that?
What are we talking about with that? What was your vision for that?
Well, I know we were going to talk about like eating diets, some about workouts. Basically, the whole point is like there are going to be days where you can't do everything you wanted to do.
Hmm.
So it's important to listen to what your body's telling you it needs, but also I think we were going to talk about some of the times where you can't really trust your body. I know. It's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. I feel like there's a lot of nuance we can go into.
Well, yes, like, so the reason I say when you're a new mom, it's hard to work out. Like, one thing is people will push themselves. People get really gung ho when they decide to go on the exercise and fitness thing, which I am all for. But then I've seen people get really injured because they didn't listen to their body, because they overtrain and they're like, I'm just going to push through the pain. Well, a little discomfort is okay to push through. Actual pain that's telling you to stop, you should probably stop. And the thing about being a new mom is when you're tired, like when you haven't had enough sleep, because your body recovers when it's sleeping, you're a bit more prone to injuries. So you definitely have to listen to your body. Like, take that rest when you need it, and maybe pick, if you want to work out when your kids are very little and you're sleep deprived, pick stuff that's not like powerlifting. Probably not a good one to do, which I love powerlifting and I love lifting weights, but there's different seasons of life require different sorts of movement, and you got to be a little bit easy on your body, especially that. For how long does it actually take for the body to recover from giving birth? I'm sure you did the research. I did not.
It uh it really depends. Um Depending on whether or not you breastfeed can affect how long it takes to I know the breastfeeding.
I
No,
don't mind
seriously.
talking about breastfeeding. It's just like I keep seeing breastfeeding, like, and we discuss it because I'm on mom pages, so it makes sense now. So I'm not as annoyed by it.
Yeah. So, it depends if you breastfeed or not in terms of when your hormones go back to normal. So that can be anywhere from I want to say if you're not breastfeeding, like a couple months to a few years if you've breastfed. In terms of your body, like the physical healing from like the placenta and everything takes about 6 weeks. Um, but you've got a ton of other stuff that can happen too. So one of the things with listening to your body that can be hard when you're pregnant or very early postpartum is you have a lot of the hormone relaxin in your body, which makes your ligaments extra loose. So it's really easy to end up overextending when you're, especially with like yoga, which seems like it should be a safe exercise, but it's really easy to end up overstretching and causing physical damage. And then you see a lot of people with the unstable pelvis and the pelvic floor issues postpartum. And that's all because of that relaxin hormone that makes all those ligaments kind of just give up, which is great for childbirth because you want the stretch when you're giving birth, but it's not so great for having a lot of stability. So,
Okay, so I would really recommend, honestly, if you really want to work out and you want to do something that's going to give you pretty good results, I would Not until you're cleared by a doctor. Like, do not do this the day after you give birth, please. But Pilates, you're doing it on the floor. You're not jumping around. You're not you're not, I mean, you're not doing crazy flexibility. It's all coming from the core. Um, but still listen to your body. But Pilates would be a great one, I think, because you're tired. You're going to be laying down. So if you're in the middle of it and you're like, wow, this is not happening today, you can take a nap right where you are.
Well, and doesn't Pilates also work a lot of those little muscles?
It does. Pilates is fantastic. Like I do Pilates. I don't do it as much as I probably should because it is a really great exercise. I do yoga more, but I did Pilates more when you guys were little because I was too tired to be jumping around. You know what I mean? Like I can't, I couldn't. The jumping around was a lot, but you will see some pretty good muscle tone from Pilates, and it doesn't feel hard on your body. You know. That's the other thing you want to listen to too. Like people are like, feel the burn. Don't feel the burn. Please don't feel the burn.
Yeah.
You want to challenge your muscles. You do not want to damage your muscles. And you know how people are like, oh, it was leg day the day before when you can like barely sit down in the chair. If you're that sore, you overtrained, and so really it's like peeing in the wind. You did your body no favor.
Well, and I mean, overtraining with that too, it can be extremely dangerous, not just because your muscles are sore and you're miserable, because of the buildup of the lactic acid, right?
Hmm. Well, you would have to build up a lot of lactic acid to have it be this serious, but there is a man who died from doing P90X. Did you
Yeah.
hear about that?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so basically he was, because P90X is an extreme workout, and he was in no way the physical condition to be doing an extreme workout. It's not a beginner workout, so beginners shouldn't be doing it. So if you're trying to do P90X and your body's telling you, hey, I shouldn't be doing this, it's probably because you shouldn't. But he pushed through, did it anyway, and he built up so much lactic acid in his body, he died from the toxicity in his body. Um, so yeah, that's bad. You don't want to do that. I
Yeah.
mean, you are in no danger of doing that from Pilates. So let's stick to that postpartum if you really feel like you need a workout routine. P90X is, I could do P90X. My fitness level is that high. I do not do P90X because to me it seems like a lot of abuse when I can get pretty good results with a whole lot less abuse on my body because I am very against abusing the body because yes, we want it to grow and change, and I'm all about the working out, but you also have to live in this body for the rest of your life, and I want you to take care of your joints and your back and all of those things too, because someday you'll be as old as me and I can still get up from the floor. There's a lot of women my age that cannot,
Yeah.
So be kind to your body, and you want to work at heart. So if you work out and you're a little bit sore the next day, that is to be expected. If you are very sore the next day and even more sore the day after, you have overtrained. Don't panic and go to your doctor thinking you're going to die from lactic acid. But what you want to do is you want to do very light walking, massage, anything to work that lactic acid out of your muscles. Drink a lot of water and do not work out again for, I mean, aside from like walking and stuff like that, a minimum of 3 days.
Yeah.
Okay? And then get back into it. And if you were lifting weights and you're that sore from that, you might want to go a little bit lighter on the weights or a little less repetitions or whatever. And lifting heavy doesn't mean you have to be like the guy in the gym that has the giant barbell. Lifting heavy means heavy for you. For some people, that might be a 5 pound dumbbell. That's fine.
Well,
Like,
yeah, and if we're talking like earlier postpartum, especially, like anytime in that first year, I would recommend the pelvic floor physical therapy consult if you're having any sort of pelvic floor issues, because when you do start getting into lifting again, lifting heavy might not actually be good for you, depending on what your body is doing
Right, because
postpartum.
can it cause a prolapse? A
It
faint?
doesn't necessarily cause the prolapse, but if you have any sort of pelvic organ prolapse, and I did not know this until recently, it affects about 50% of women postpartum. So half of all women who have a baby will have some sort of pelvic organ prolapse, and you may not know it because they can be very mild or very severe. But anything that increases that intra-abdominal pressure, especially if your form's not very good and you're lifting, it can worsen the prolapse and it can worsen the symptoms. So
So we don't want that.
don't, yeah. So you might not think that your body's telling you not to do this, but if you notice that, like, maybe you have a little bit of incontinence issues when you cough or laugh or sneeze, um, definitely go get checked out before you start getting too hard into lifting because you want to make sure you're being really protective of the pelvic floor and not causing any increased issues with that could affect your life severely down the line.
Well, and they do have physical therapy for the pelvic floor too. So if you think there might be a problem, you go and you find out that you have a problem, you're going to want to take care of that problem before you go ahead with other stuff, because
And in the
incontinence isn't good. Nobody needs that.
Yeah, and in the United States, almost every like plan will cover some or all of at least an initial pelvic floor physical therapy consult after pregnancy. So,
Two good things to do.
good things to
Fortunately,
do.
I didn't know anything about that, and luckily, I did not have any of those issues. However, I did not start working out until Lauren was 5.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I pretty much was a potato for all of those years prior to that. It was when she was 5 that I decided to get into health and fitness. And I definitely listened to my body. I never abused myself like that, but I started going, because remember, I went to the YMCA. And there was a lot of women there that were like training for triathlons and stuff like that. And they were in great shape and stuff, but I would watch them like almost abusing themselves. And the one lady, I remember, she said something hurt, but she was going to push through. And then she was gone from the gym for like 3 months because she tore her rotator cuff. And I'm like, well, how'd that work for you? So I went to that one trainer the one time and I was fat, and I didn't know anything. I was like fat. And she was trying to abuse me. And I was like, surely this can't be a good workout regime for a fat lady like myself who has no idea what I'm doing. Surely this cannot be it. So I only went to her the one time, and it was a little bit after that because like I focused on losing weight and stuff like that before I took the class to be a certified fitness trainer because I didn't want to get like laughed out of there being 250 pounds. But so I did take the class, and now I've never abused myself. And yes, some of the workouts I do to somebody who's not at my fitness level might seem abusive. And it would be for a beginner, but I'm not a beginner. I've been working out for 24 years, and I I promise you I don't abuse myself, and I listen to my body. Like there are days when I'm like, yeah, I'm going to do this. I start and I'm like, you know what? My body's telling me not today. So, I might just go do yoga instead of lifting weights. It's okay.
Well, and I think listening to your body is definitely a skill you have to learn. Um, I was really lucky that I grew up with you as a mom who was big into that. So I kind of have always done that. I know when I was learning opera, it was something that I had to learn even more because my opera teacher would be like, try it, but if it's not happening today, then I guess today's not the day. Your body's telling you no. Um, but then we get into the whole like nutrition side of things with listening to your body because people like we've talked about the fad diets, we've talked about what works, what doesn't work. We know at the end of the day, like calories are king. Um,
Yeah, and everybody hates that, but that's just life. I'm sorry, we didn't make the science. We just practice it.
but even when you're doing something like the 5-2 diet, or you're doing like a calorie ramp up, or you're just counting calories, there will be times, there will be days where your body is telling you, this is not enough. I need more. So we talked about the 5-2. I really enjoy it. But I've found that like During that time of the month, I cannot do fast days. I am so hungry. I get dizzy. I feel miserable. I cannot do the fast days during a period. So I skip a week every month of the 5-2 diet because I'm listening to what my body is telling me. And that doesn't mean you're failing your diet either. It means you're honoring what your body needs.
Well, and that's the thing about a diet. I mean, you have to think of it as lifestyle. So if you want to lose weight, yes, you need to be in a calorie deficit, but you don't have to be in a calorie deficit every day. And it's a marathon, not a sprint. Okay. Like the people who are like, I need to be to a certain weight by 3 weeks from now because I'm going to a wedding, are so setting yourself up for failure. How about instead of doing that, you just find an outfit that looks really good on the body you have right now and go to that wedding. Okay. Because losing weight, gaining muscle, right now I'm trying to gain muscle. And let me tell you what, whew, really difficult to eat that much protein. And I
Yeah.
love protein. And it is rough.
Well, I should send you the video I just saw. There's this guy, he does like a circus act. I see his videos all the time. But he eats 180 grams of protein every day. And I mean, he works out hard and he's a man,
I'm
obviously.
doing 140.
Yeah, so you're not actually that far off from what he's
And I'm
doing.
like, I'm guessing much smaller than he is.
Yeah,
I
I want
am
to.
so full. Like, you could put my favorite food in front of me. I don't want to eat shit. Like, I'm
I
sick
should
of
send
it.
you the video he made though, because he literally talked about what he eats all day throughout a day, and some of it were things I didn't know existed. Like, did you know they make protein pretzels?
Yeah.
I want protein
I
pretzels.
eat protein chips. I eat protein. I found these little chocolate peanut butter balls. I'm throwing nutritional yeast on everything. Like, oh my gosh. And the egg whites, so many egg whites. Like, I'm not even kidding you. I just ate like a ginormous steak. Like, I was just gnawing on a friggin' cold piece of steak because I need to get the protein. And I am so full. Like, I'm so full. So let's talk intuitive eating.
Let's talk intuitive eating. And so I mentioned the 5-2 to somebody, and they were saying it's not a good way to diet. It's very concerning. There are concerns with 5-2 if you have issues. So if you have a history of eating
Do you want to
disorders,
explain 5-2? Because people listening to this might not know what it is.
okay, so the 5-2 diet, you basically do 5 days a week where you eat normally, like the simplified version. 5 days a week you eat totally normally. 2 days that are not back to back, not consecutive, you fast and you essentially have 500 calories for the day, and that's what you eat. And it puts you into a calorie deficit. That's during the actively losing phase. There's more to it, but I was explaining it to somebody, and she was saying it was a really bad way to lose weight. And basically, what she was describing was just intuitive eating. And I'm like, intuitive eating is the goal. But for a lot of people, they don't know how to do it.
Well, here's the thing. So if you eat a lot of garbage, intuitively you're going to be hungry a lot. I can tell you from experience, if you eat a lot of protein, you're not hungry at all. Like, my first meal of the day, I don't want to eat again.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot, and so if I intuitively eat, I intuitively do not eat enough protein now. Why is that important? One, I lift weights. Two, I'm older, which you lose muscle when you get older, and I have a brain condition that causes muscle atrophy. So it's important for me to put on muscle, and I have to eat 140 grams of protein a day to put muscle on. To just keep the muscle I have to eat 120. And when I sat down and looked at it, and I eat healthy, I've been living a healthy lifestyle for a really long time. When I actually started, like, I could tell you how many calories I was eating and this and that, but I broke down the grams of protein I was eating. I wasn't eating close.
Well, and I need to do that because I know if you have insulin resistance, eating enough protein is incredibly important. The recommendation from the doctor, well, physician assistant I've been working with, was at least a minimum of 100 grams of protein a day for myself because of the insulin resistance, not even because I'm trying to put on muscle. And I am almost positive I don't eat that. So,
Well, if so, the basic, okay, is point 0.7 to 1 gram per pound that you weigh. So zero point 0.7 is fine for me. I have to eat more than that, but and you would think like, yeah, I could have steak all day, and I'm telling you, it is daunting to eat
Yeah.
much protein when you have to think about it. And if I intuitively ate, there's no way I'd eat that much protein. So I have to be very intentional about what I'm eating because I have to make sure I get that. So then, and that only comes out to like, I think it's 500 and, I don't know, I'd have to do, would be 4 times 140. That's how many calories? Uh,
600 and, or no. I don't know. It's fine.
I don't know. So protein, 1 gram of protein has 4 calories. 1 gram of um, carbs has 4 calories. 1 gram of fat has 9 calories. So I still have to make sure that I get fat in there because you need fat to absorb nutrients, and so you do need that. Um, and then I have to make sure I get my carbohydrates in there because I lift weights, so you need glycogen to lift weights, so you get glycogen from carbs. So it's difficult. If I intuitively did it, no, I wouldn't
Well,
be hitting my nutritional needs.
and the whole thing with intuitive eating, like the premise is great. The
Hmm.
idea that you can, you're going to eat until you're full, not until you're overfull. You eat when you're hungry, so you're not depriving yourself,
Hmm.
and you pretty much eat what you want within reason. So, I like the idea behind it.
I don't
Um,
like the idea behind that. Oh, you eat what you want because you know everybody's going for the garbage.
well, the way that I've seen intuitive eating coaches actually do it is like, okay, you really want the chocolate, but you're going to eat this instead. So rather than do that and then come back and eat the chocolate later anyway, like have the piece of chocolate. Like if you're just going to go back and eat the crap food after you ate something else trying to get rid of the craving,
Right, but
just
if
eat the
you're
crap
just
food to begin
saying
with.
I'm sorry, but if you don't have a goal of eating food that's good for your body, you might weigh what you want to weigh. You're not going to have the muscle that you want. You're just going to be a skinny fat person and you're going to be unhealthy. And then you're going to be my age and you'll be like most of the people my age on chronic medication. And you know how many medications I take? Friggin' zero, except my hormones because I'm
Yeah.
old and went through menopause. But I don't take anything for blood pressure. I don't, in fact, my labs look better than most 20-year-olds. So please
Yeah.
don't intuitively eat garbage. Eat food that's
Now,
good for you. I'm not saying never eat the garbage. I'm just saying most of the time don't eat the garbage.
now in the realm of intuitive eating, there is a subgroup of people who genuinely are intuitive eaters. And that subgroup of people, this is going to be a little hard for some people to hear, is children.
Hmm.
Children, specifically, I want to say it's children under the age of 5. So between 6 months and 5, almost every child, barring some sort of condition that would be contrary,
Hmm.
is an intuitive eater. And I know it's so frustrating. You make this whole breakfast for your kid and they take one bite, say, I'm full, and run off. You are telling them to not listen to their intuition by saying, no, you have to eat 2 more bites. No, you have to eat 3 bites. No, you need 6 bites of this before you can have that. Now, I'm not saying you can't tell your kid, hey, you got to eat something healthy before you eat crappy food.
That was our only rule.
Yeah, I'm not saying you can't say that. But telling your kid you have to eat this much of something to earn this when they're telling you they're full isn't really helpful.
So I always tell my kids like if they wanted to eat cookies for breakfast, I didn't really care as long as they ate something nutritious with their cookies.
Yeah,
And honestly, because it was not a big deal or off limits, they ate healthy food more than they ate garbage.
yeah. Now
I mean, they
let's.
just did. Like Lauren ate a ton of vegetables, and Paige really liked meat.
Well,
So.
And I know we've talked about it before with the more you stress kids out about food and you try to have that control struggle, the more likely they are to end up with some sort of disordered eating. So if you have a kid who's always been on the smaller end and you're constantly pushing them to eat more, eat more, eat more, that kid might end up developing a binge eating issue where they eventually are at a point where they're not the small end of the spectrum and they're eating too much. Or
We
you have a
have that.
kid Right. Or you have a kid who's really big and you tell them, you got to eat less, you got to eat less, you got to eat less. You're restricting their meals. They're crying that they're hungry, but you think they've eaten enough. So now they grow up to be a kid who has issues with food insecurity or anorexia or any
Well, and we
host
just,
of things that can happen.
Paige and I were just talking about that because, they like to eat ice cream and stuff, and now everybody in her house is kind of like, oh, with the sugary.
Hmm.
Uh, so I said, well, why don't you take frozen fruit and put it in the blender and make it into a sorbet? And if you want to make it like foo-foo fancy, you can put a couple tablespoons of heavy whipping cream in with it, and it's like, berries and cream basically, but it's like the consistency of sherbet. Kids love it. And I used to do it when I was like in the thick of trying to lose weight because, again, I lost over 100 pounds. So I was very strict about not eating pleasure food hardly ever. So, but I still wanted pleasure food, right? I mean, so I do like ice cream and stuff like that, but I also really like fruit and I love raspberries. So I used to take frozen raspberries and cocoa powder and put it in the blender. So it was like chocolate raspberry sherbet, basically, with a little bit of whipped cream because whipped cream does have sugar, but not very much.
Well, and one that I've seen, people have been doing it for babies, but honestly, if you like bananas, now if you don't like bananas or your kids don't like bananas, obviously it's not the recipe for you. But basically, they'll take some bananas and like half an avocado and just add cocoa powder because the bananas are
Oh,
pretty
that sounds
sweet.
good. That sounds
Yeah,
really good, actually. I'm not big into bananas, but I would try that.
yeah. So bananas, cocoa powder, and some avocado. You basically blend it up or freeze it and then blend it, then freeze it, whichever you want to do. And it makes like a really rich chocolate banana sort of ice cream. And another fun fact, since we're talking about like lower sugar options, if you are concerned about that or you want something nutritious that feels like a treat.
Well, and
Um,
and I think it's good for kids. Like even if you don't have a kid that's chubby that you're worried about, better eating habits are better eating habits for life.
yeah, but bananas. The more ripe they get, the more sugar they have. So the less ripe your bananas, they actually are less likely to cause those bigger blood sugar spikes like you would get with a refined sugar. So bananas that are slightly green, if you're like really a fruit about the sugar, um, the more green your banana is, the less it'll spike your blood sugar. So if you do have like insulin resistance issues, less ripe bananas.
And then, so I'm gonna share a recipe. It has nothing to do with listening to your body, but since summer is upon us, get English, those little English cucumbers, cut
Mm-hmm.
those up. Pineapple, you can either, I buy the ones that the store cuts up, the fresh, because I'm lazy and I don't want to do all that.
Yeah.
Cut that, throw that in there, chop up your English cucumbers, zest an entire lemon, and don't leave out the lemon zest. I know it's a pain in the butt, but it's worth it. Squeeze the rest of the juice in there, salt and pepper, mix it up, and it is delicious and refreshing for the summer.
Yeah.
So there's a,
S-
a new recipe I found, I don't know, what was that last summer?
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm looking forward to eating that.
So, yeah, intuitive eating. Kids are by nature intuitive eaters. So I see people talk all the time about when they're feeding, especially babies, where they're still spoon feeding them. And that's part of why I liked baby led weaning. But that's beside the point. I've seen people be like, oh, I need them to eat this much of the jar of baby food, or they didn't get enough. They
Right.
will tell you when they're done. When they start spitting the food out, they're playing with it more than they're eating it. They're done. They're full. Let them be done. So that as long as you can, you are preserving that instinctual understanding of fullness and not telling them to push past it to eat more. The biggest one I see with kids is wanting them to eat more when they say that they're
Yes.
done. I don't see
Yes.
the other end quite as much, but of course, you're a mom and you're worried. What if my baby's not eating enough food? It's
Right. And you don't want to do that because that's why none of us are great intuitive eaters.
right.
But if you, the 5-2 diet is supposed to cause intuitive eating. So on your non-diet days, really the rule is supposed to be to eat until you're about 80% full, like 80% there.
And I wanted to talk about that, but go ahead. Sorry.
What?
No, I was just going to say the 5-2 diet is supposed to encourage you to be a more intuitive eater, and I fully believe that it works. I don't remember when I started it exactly, but I went from 212 pounds down to about 182. It's been 3 months since I've done the 5-2 diet because I was going through a whole thing. I was sick back to back to back to back. So I haven't done it in a while. I have only gained back in those 3 months about 4 pounds, which could literally just be bloating. So,
Okay, so the 5-2 for me, I put on a little bit of weight just from the menopause thing, and I was already eating pretty darn healthy, for 24 years. So it allowed me to lose the weight that I needed to lose. And for the first time in 24 years, I don't really think about food as much, except now that I'm trying to eat the protein.
yeah.
But here's a trick, though, to still be an intuitive eater. If your goal is like mine to put on muscle and you're struggling to eat the protein, I eat smaller amounts more often because otherwise I'm so full.
Hmm.
So I just really try to, and I add protein where I can. Like if I make myself eggs, I'll add two more eggs with just the egg whites because it's not as filling, but you get some protein on there. Like I said, I throw in like nutritional yeast on everything because it doesn't have a ton of protein, but it does have like 4 grams per serving.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, another one. I should put the recipe up. I make, if you've ever been to the store and you've seen those perfect protein bars, they're in the refrigerated section. I found a recipe, like a copycat recipe for it that uses oatmeal. I use plain protein powder, but they recommend vanilla. I don't like the taste of vanilla protein powder. But it's basically peanut butter, oatmeal, protein powder, and then you put chocolate on top. And my kids think they're candy and they eat them, and it's a good, you know, healthier option that's got good fats, good proteins, good things that they need nutritionally, and not terribly expensive. So, and
well,
the
and
kids love
another
them.
tip for protein, because I'm harping on it, but that's just because that's where I'm at right now. But most women don't eat enough protein, honestly. Uh, anyway, I take Greek yogurt and make that into dip.
Mm, yes.
So I just buy like, the ranch powder or whatever flavor you want. Like some people might use like the onion soup mix or whatever, but make it with Greek yogurt instead of sour cream. Greek yogurt has almost 20 grams of protein per serving. And
Hmm.
if your children will eat vegetables and dip, that's a fabulous snack for them too. So,
Yeah. Um, my kids mostly eat the dip, but
right, they're right, but
they just like the dip.
then your dip is pretty healthy dip though at that point. Aside from like the salt content, if you're worried about sodium, I'm not. But
I, yeah, I don't worry much about sodium. I know there's a lot of concern, and that's another thing too with talking about kids. I think we've mentioned it before. Kids don't have very high protein needs until they
right.
get towards about puberty.
Mm-hmm.
So I see moms all the time freaking out, my kid needs more protein. You can kind of let your kid take the lead on what they need nutritionally, especially once they're old enough to talk. Obviously, if they're just asking for sugar, recommend something else. But a lot of kids don't eat very much protein, and they don't actually need very much protein
Yeah, I
until
think
they're a
they
bit
they
older.
eat mostly carbohydrates and fat.
Yeah, carbs and fat. I focus a lot on fat for my kids, so good fats. I make pasta that's like olive oil and avocado and pesto, like blended up. It's very fatty, but it's good fats for their brain. So,
Yeah, brain development is big. we like that to
Yeah.
happen.
And our brains don't need protein, it needs fat. So,
Yeah, protein's mostly for your muscles, and well, it's not just your muscles. It actually helps with recovery. Is that the word I'm looking for? Repair.
repair.
Repair of soft tissues. So, like your cartilage, your tendons, your ligaments, and all of that kind of stuff. That's what protein does for you.
Yeah. What the biggest thing with kids nutritionally, they need the good fats for their brain. They need carbs because kids spend a ton of energy. Even if you have a kid who's a couch potato, their body is using so much energy for growing and brain development and all of those things. So they need the
Hmm.
carbohydrates. Kids need iron and they need calcium. Those are the real big ones. Protein, get it in where you can.
Well, here's the thing, that your body will pull protein, even though like all of those things that they're eating has protein in it. It might not be a complete protein, but taken together, it probably has all the protein, and the body will take that for their muscle development. But,
Yeah,
you know,
because isn't apples and peanut butter makes a whole protein, like a complete protein? So things like that too, where you
like fruit
can,
and nuts, that's why people do like that. That's why a lot of the trail mix is like nuts with like craisins or something. Or even like peanut butter and jelly. It's not really the jelly, it's the bread.
yeah.
Um, but the jelly too a little bit. But the bread, I can't remember which protein it is that the bread has that the nuts don't. Pistachios are a complete protein though. That's the one nut that is different. Like you could just eat pistachios and count
And
all of that protein as your protein.
is it lentils I'm thinking of that are also a complete protein?
No,
Not lentils. There's some sort of grain.
quinoa,
Is it quinoa?
quinoa, amaranth.
Okay.
There's a couple other ones that are complete proteins, but you don't need to worry about that. As like unless again, I have an issue with keeping muscle on. That's why it's for most people. You're probably not gonna have to eat that much unless you are bodybuilding, which I don't even think I could be I mean, technically, I guess I bodybuild, but I could never get big like that. I would have to. I can't even imagine how much protein I'd have to eat. I wouldn't be able to do it. I would probably pass out from like a food coma if I had to eat that much.
Yeah. So, do we have anything else to add?
To listen to your body, I think though the one thing that you really, really should listen to though is if you need rest. Or
Yes.
if you're starting to feel really stressed out, I think that you need to listen to your body. And even if you can only take 60 seconds to do some deep breathing or something, that is very good for your mental health. And I really do believe everything's connected, mind, body, spirit. So take care of your mind, take care of your spirit, and your body will be better too.
And those are also just really good things to model for your kids. Like, obviously, our target audience here is women, it's moms. So, you probably have kids, and your kids learn from what you do.
Well, you know what they
So,
taught Aaliyah when she went last time? Because they were
hmm.
saying like when she gets like anxiety or when she's getting upset, she doesn't breathe. Like she breathes, obviously, she's not passing out, but like it's shallow breathing. They told her to do this, breathe in for as long as it takes to do that, and then breathe out. And it's been helping her. So I'm like, not a bad little visual for us, maybe if we're a person who doesn't finds it
Well,
difficult to do deep breathing.
and one that works really well for toddlers when they're upset, and of course, you have to practice it when they're not upset. Um, Silly noises. So, they love it. It'll stop the upset, and they're getting a good deep breath in to make the funny noise. And holding up your fingers and telling them to blow out the candles. Say you got to blow really hard, blow out the candles, and then you put one finger down, and then you tell them to do it again. So you're getting them to take those big, deep breaths, but you're making it kind of a game, and you're giving them something visual. Works really well with toddlers.
Well, and the whole reason for the breathing, I know people are just like, what's the magic? So when you're very upset or you're very anxious or very stressed, you're in survival mode. Your whole body is like tense and ready for action. So the deep breathing, it calms your nervous system. It relaxes the muscles. It steadies the mind. So that's why it's so helpful. That's why they're always saying like count to 10, breathe in, breathe out. But try to practice diaphragmatic breathing in particular. So that is very helpful. And you don't have to do it for long stretches of time. You'll feel your body start to, whoo, it's like all those stress hormones just kind of melt away.
Well, and if you took a birth class or whatever and they talked about like how to breathe and they tell you like breathe a big deep breath in for 4 and then out for 6, the idea is you're trying to just regulate your nervous system. It works when you're not in labor too. And it works for your kids. But it's better to practice it when you're not in fight or flight mode, because if you're in fight or flight mode, you're not able to think rationally.
And you know what else it works for? If you're in the store and Karen and her friend are standing in the middle of the aisle and you have the urge to ram them with a cart, do some deep breathing instead, because you won't go to prison for that. Because, I don't know if anybody else has been there, but man, at least 2 times every Walmart trip, I have the urge to ram a cart into somebody.
I about lost it in Dollar General today because every aisle I went into, there were people, like 2 people per cart, taking the entire aisle. I'm like, I cannot get past you.
Right, and then they don't even, like, they're not aware of their surroundings. And you know what really irritates me? When I'm like, excuse me, and then they either don't hear me or they pretend they don't hear me. Man, I'm just like, oh, no, because I have so much to live for. I can't go to prison.
Orange is not my color, okay?
Well, not only that, I'm just like, how would that look? Like, grandma goes to, grandma arrested for assaulting someone with a cart at Dollar General. That wouldn't be good.
Yeah.
It's not a good look, not a good role model.
It happens.
So I gotta breathe.
All right, well, I think that's all the time we got, but take some deep breaths, listen to your body, encourage your kids to do the same because they probably already are. So don't undermine their intuition, I think, if I said
Sure.
that well. Okay,
I
bye.
don't know. Or don't. I mean, I guess we're not experts.
Do whatever you want, I suppose. They're your
Do
kids.
whatever you want. This is what we're, hey,
This is what I would recommend. I'm not an expert. Peace out.
not an expert. We're not experts.
No, bye.
Breathe, though. That's good.
Yeah,
The experts
you'll
say
die.
so, I'm sure.
You'll die if you don't breathe, so. All right.
Sound advice.
Is it gonna?
I don't know. Are you
I'm
going to play
working
the
on it.
outro or we're just going to go on? Okay.